Not sure you can tell or not, but it's a bank holiday weekend in England. Impossible to tell. You'd never know it was a bank holiday Monday, would you? Considering all this lovely weather we've had. But this video is actually a couple of months old. You'll notice that from the background. And how towards the end of the video it changes to the new museum layout. But let's get into it. We've been particularly busy this week on other stuff, so we thought we'd throw one of the older videos out the bank in. We're actually in the shed for once, not working outside, but it's a bit tight in here, and with roof space and the Meteor it gets very tight. So we're going to drop the hook out of here and just go put our master link on the end of the hook and then the winch cable. Josh is then dropping the barrel down so we can go over top of that and wiggle our way towards the engine bay. It's quite tight.
But you see how we've got this rigged up? We've actually dropped the hook out, put the master link straight on the end of the hoist rope, just to give us a bit more height, because this is going to be tight to the roof. And so we've got two strops that run down to these lifting points. They look a bit sketchy, but they do work. And then on the front, that's a 1¼ ton chain hoist, 1½ ton chain hoist. It does say on it somewhere. So this engine is longer than the hole it has to go through. So to begin with, we're actually going to be across the engine bay and then turn to begin the right way. We're also going to have to jack it up on its end to get it to fit. So yeah, we'll see if we can pick this up and if it's fairly balanced, so I can adjust the length of that to get it balanced. And then we'll get it up and swing it round. So as I steal the camera from other Josh, you see we're fairly tight against this pipe here, which normally wouldn't be a problem if we didn't have those pipe connections for the hydraulics, which makes this really tight. Quite a tight gap to get that pipe between the two pulleys and the fan drive. We are in now. So we're now pretty much in, so now levelling it off. Just need to make sure I don't catch anything. I say the front will come back up as the back goes down. Make sure I don't catch anything up the front, and then we'll just slowly lower it onto its mounts. That was good. One engine in hole. I say, just getting the crane out of the way. So we had to, say the last little bit, just put the tensioners, belt tensioners back on. Because I say, it makes the engine a bit longer so they don't fit. So they're now on. Got the pipes back on the side. And that is one engine in hole. And now I can still hear the militant running. So, bolting this engine down, say Mike's here, and if I come, say exhaust manifolds have come back off. I say we need them to actually so we can see how the engine's running, because it's done by the nicety of the flame that comes out the hole. Engine mounting bolts, you may notice this one is, that one I'll put the nut on in the dark. Let's see. There we go, that's a bit better. But this one, I say, they can't actually come out. To get these bolts out, you have to take this whole frame out, which is what shims the engine. So if you forget to put them in once you've bolted this down, that is a bad day. But they push up. I then pop GoPro on the side so you can see what I'm doing, and I get my hands back. He goes up. Nut goes on. Nut on, and then I say I'll go around and tighten these up. Back mount is here. The bolts do come out because that's a plate rather than all the way through the frame. So they've now been done up. I had to take the cap off the mag because we had our little brown lead. So we were turning this over on a stand. We didn't want it to fire up, so we earthed the mags. But now to actually put the proper lead in, grab him out of the darkness. I've seen him. There we go. I'll grab him out. Turn the camera around so you can see what I'm doing. So these are very important, not because they provide positive power for the ignition, because we're on magnetos, it does it all itself. But this is essentially an earth, so when you turn the ignition off, it earths the mags, stops the spark, and the engine stops. It does mean though, if the engine starts off and these aren't in, you can't stop it. Which for our purposes of wanting to know how well the engine runs, is very, 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 very important. So he threads in underneath, now going in, and then they've got a little lock and nut that does that behind him. On the other side, so I've done them already, there's a hole here, which is then what the booster coil goes in, which gives the spark when we're trying to start the engine. Again, very important, these don't like starting without them, because of how slowly they turn over on the start motor. It's about 40 RPM. So I'll get that on, because I need to get in a bit further. And then join back. So we've got the fuel pipe on as well now. Pete's done that other side. I say I got in this side because I was here. So other than that, to see if this will turn over and start up, essentially just a starter motor in that hole there, which is done from inside. Yeah, we're getting there. Ready to start up soon for our first test. I'm now in the turret, so you see the front of the engine. Probably get a little way from Mike. No way from Mike. But the start motor is easy to actually fit from here because it goes in this bit. Awesome here. Say hello to our booster coil and start panel. If I can mount you there, put the light there. Oh, the camera. Which one? Oh no, I've knocked it. And without knocking any of the there you go. Without knocking any of the shims off. Motor comes in. There we go. It slides on like that. So I'm now up on top to the engine behind me, and I just thought I'd run through what we've been up to this evening, getting it all connected up, because there's a lot of background noise, a lot of people, a lot of talking, so grinding and welding going on. It's a bit awkward to pass the camera between people, especially those who have featured but not necessarily massively. Down by the magneto you can see lead in the mag in the middle. That's our boost coil lead, which is essentially your start button. So these on the starter motor, these turn over so slowly you don't get a good spark out of the magneto, so they've got a extra coil that clicks away. It is also retarded compared to the main ignition spark, so these engines don't kick over backwards. Just for short run and testing purposes, we don't need to bolt everything back in, just in case we have to then get to stuff. Throttle linkage is on, that comes through the middle and then comes down. Choke cable is on. Fuel pipe, say you saw us put that on, it's all bolted down. Starter motor's on, which you've seen. Oil filter's gone back on because it doesn't fit with that on. So yeah, we're kind of in a position where So you've probably seen others where they start them on a stand very briefly. We're essentially in the same position but in the tank. So we're going to go for short start, it runs, that'll do, brilliant, switch it off, connect some few bits up. So our next step would then be, so there's no clutch or gearbox on the back, it will next be then coolant, go for all the coolant connections, get them all on, run it. We can then run it for a little longer.
So everything's a bit different now, because this bit of the video is, I think we're maybe 5 months on. More months. But we ran out of time at the time, and then we did all this building work and stuff. So, yeah, because we were still open when we filmed this bit, the bit before. So a lot has changed, a different new layout and stuff, as you've seen in the other videos. But now's the time to give this thing power, and will it actually start? It's a bit ironic, really. We haven't found the time to press the start button for so long, but slave leads out, away to the front. And we're going to power it from the chieftain. Because chieftain's all batteried up and ready to go. So we'll stick the old GU engine online, and I shall climb in and see what happens. Now, downside to this video clip is the audio peaked massively, so it sounds really weird. In real life, that engine runs lovely. So next job is now gearbox back in, let's get the clutch back on, get some coolant pipes on it, and let's run it for a while, and let's put it around the field, see how it does. I think we've finally solved it. She is running brilliantly. See you guys in the next one.